Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on Wednesday before Liverpool finally returned to action in the Premier League against Watford. The international break is almost over. Most of our players, if not all of them, have had their games and will now get ready to recover. So what do we know after the last couple of days? Well, we know that Sadio Mane will be going to the World Cup. Senegal defeated Egypt on penalties. Once again, it's heartbreak for Mo Salah. Lost in the AFCON final on penalties. Lost the World Cup playoff on penalties. There has been nothing, absolutely nothing to separate Egypt and Senegal over the 3 games they've played. A 0-0 draw in the AFCON final. A 1-0 victory for Egypt in the first leg because of an own goal. A 1-0 victory for Senegal in the second leg because of an own goal. Both of these decided by penalties. And in fairness, we have to mention the fact that Salah did miss his penalty. Now, he's one of 3 Egyptians who missed their penalties. They took 4 penalties and scored once. It needs to be talked about that the Senegalese fans were shining lasers in the face of the Egypt players as they stepped up to take them, and the Egypt goalkeeper as they stepped up to try and stop them. It should be mentioned that the Senegalese fans and their actions after the game were a little bit disgraceful. But that shouldn't take away from the fact that it's a great moment for Sadio Mane to score the penalty to lead his team to another World Cup. Sadio deserves this. He has been an absolutely incredible servant to the Senegalese national team over his career. He's played through injuries. He has always made sure that Senegal is at the forefront of his priorities. And to be fair, he's the greatest Senegalese player of all time. He is held in the highest esteem in his own country, not just as a footballer, but as a human being as well. We know what Sadio has done for his home community. Banbali have a school because of Sadio. They have a hospital because of Sadio. Sadio puts an awful lot of his money back into where he came from. He's never forgotten his upbringing, and that is the mark of the man. So you have to be delighted for Sadio, while at the same time being, sympathetic towards Salah. What I will say is, from a Liverpool point of view, I couldn't be happier that Salah's not going to the World Cup. So assuming his contract gets done, Mo Salah will now have a summer off and a nice extended break for the World Cup. About 7 weeks of a break for the World Cup in the middle of the season. So assuming the contract gets done, everybody's in trouble next year. Everybody. Because he's going to be fresh come the start of the season, and then he'll be fresh for the second half of the season, having had that break. Another player who will be fresh is Luis Diaz. Colombia are out of the World Cup qualification. They beat Venezuela 1-0, but Peru beat Paraguay, and therefore Peru finish above Colombia, and they'll go on to face either Australia or the United Arab Emirates, while Colombia will get the World Cup break. So domestic action will pause on November 13th. Happy days. Our players then won't play again until basically January. You can't really be upset about that. Also qualified is Diogo Jota. Portugal defeated North Macedonia 2-0. Bruno Fernandes with both goals. Jota played his part, had a good game, and will likely be a starter for the Portuguese at the World Cup. So England are through. Alexander-Arnold will be part of the squad, most likely. Brian Henderson will be part of the squad, most likely. The Dutch are through, so Van Dijk. The Brazilians are through, so Alisson, Fabinho, potentially Bobby. Sadio, Jota, Taki. Belgium are through, so Divock will probably go to the World Cup, but he won't be a Liverpool player at the time. Obviously, Spain have qualified, but we don't know yet whether Thiago will be in the squad because Luis Enrique is a bit of an idiot. Naby Keita will not be at the World Cup because Guinea didn't qualify. Greece did not qualify. Ibou Konate could be called up between now and the World Cup for France, so we'll wait and see. We know that the likes of Curtis, Ox, Harvey Elliott are unlikely to be part of the England squad. Joe Gomez could be, but he could also be playing for somebody else. And obviously Ireland did not qualify, so Caoimhín Kelleher will not be playing in the World Cup. So for next season, the schedule is to be as follows. The Premier League begins on August the 6th, so a couple of weeks early. Pauses on November 14th. The World Cup starts on the 21st of December, ends on the 18th of December. The Premier League comes back the 26th, so it's about 6 weeks of a break. And then the Premier League ends late next season as well. It ends on May the 24th. The FA Cup final will be June the 4th and the Champions League final June the 10th. Hopefully we don't have any more of these nonsensical Winter World Cups. Nobody wants the World Cup being played in Qatar. Nobody does. Only people who wanted money. One other interesting thing to come out of last night, Harry Maguire booed by England fans at Wembley, and all of the England players have rallied around him. We've had statements from Harry Kane, Jack Grealish, Raheem Sterling, and Jordan Henderson. And Liverpool fans have taken particular offence to the Henderson statement, which was in the form of quite a long essay, because when Joe Gomez was booed for England, Jordan Henderson didn't say a word, had nothing to say. Harry Kane spoke out in his defence, but Jordan Henderson didn't. Spoke out for Maguire, didn't speak out for Gomez. Strange. But it is what it is, I suppose. He'll have to answer as to why. Liverpool will play pre-season friendly against Manchester United in Bangkok, and that game is set to be played on July the 12th. Now, I would imagine it'll be less than a full-strength Liverpool team, but at the same time, good for Liverpool to go back to Asia and connect with the fan base there. Obviously, Liverpool are massive throughout Asia, and United are probably the biggest club when it comes to the Asian fan base. So there's that as well. On Liverpool.com, Harry Maguire boo fiasco proves what Liverpool already knew about the England national team. So you can read that there. Barcelona may just have been told what Liverpool always knew, as most Mohamed Salah transfer blocked. Well, there was never any possibility of Barcelona signing Mo Salah or Robert Lewandowski or whoever they were linked with. They weren't going to be signing Haaland or anybody else. They can't afford to sign these players. They don't have the money to buy them, and they certainly don't have the money to pay their wages. this all comes from that absolute doormat who runs their club, Joan Laporte. I can't say if we're in talks with Lewandowski or Salah, but top players want to join Barcelona. That's clear. Is it? When was the last time Barcelona signed a top player? Aguero was past his best. Memphis isn't a top player. Aubameyang past his best. Adama, not a top player. Ferran Torres, a long way from being a top player. I mean, you'd say Frankie de Jong, but at the time that Barca signed him, was he a top player? Or just a very promising young midfielder? I mean, they signed Pjanic, but he's been a disaster. I mean, when was the last time Barcelona signed a top player? Coutinho? Seems like a strange thing for him to say. They're likely to sign Frank Kessie and Andreas Christensen on free transfers. They're trying to sign Azpilicueta on a free transfer. But let's see if they can even register those players yet before they get too excited with themselves. João Felix could be one step closer to Liverpool transfer as contract breakdown helps FSG. So he was apparently going to talk to Atletico Madrid about the potential for a new contract. The thing to consider here is he already had 4 years left. It would have been a rather strange decision, considering it hasn't gone particularly well since he went there. He hasn't played at the level that was expected. So why would they give him a new contract? I think maybe that was his agent trying to secure a better wage for him, but I think Atleti have stood firm and João could well become available. He doesn't really fit in the Simeone team. He'd fit much better in our team. I would imagine he'd be far too expensive for us because they paid 100 million. I'd imagine they'd want something similar. Liverpool learn of reduced Erling Haaland demands as Barcelona reversal affects transfer plans. So let's be fair. Unless Erling Haaland is massively reducing his demands, then there's just no chance at all. So initially he was looking for, or his people were looking for, 500,000 a week, so 26 million a year for 5 years. That's 130 million. 20 million as a signing bonus. That's 150 million. 20 million for his father as a signing bonus. That's 170 million. 30 million for Mino Raiola as an agent fee. That's 200 million. And then the 70 million fee or whatever it is that goes to Dortmund to buy him out of his contract there. Like, that is absolutely obscene. You can say it's a bargain price for the transfer, and you'd be correct. But when you factor in that transfer, signing bonus, agent fees, and for whatever reason his father thinks he's entitled to a fee, that all works out at about 140 million pounds up front. And then you're paying him 26 million a year as a base salary. Because he's going to want bonuses on top of that. He'll want goal bonuses, he'll want trophy bonuses, etc., etc. And the way he scores goals now, if he's scoring goals and winning your trophies, then he's worthy of those bonuses. But you could be looking at another, 10, 12, 14 million a year over 5 years. And you know what's going to happen. The classic Mino Raiola approach. He joins, signs a big contract, and then 2 years later, he signs another big contract. Because Mino Raiola wants his agent's fees. And every time the player gets a new deal, Mino gets a little lump sum, and then he gets paid off the back end as well. But that's the player stuff to deal with. The club have to pay the fee when the contract is signed, though. And if he doesn't get that contract, then he spends an entire year lambasting the club and basically causing nothing but trouble. So there is no chance Liverpool will deal with Erling Haaland. No chance. Even with these alleged reduced terms, which apparently are around 326,000 a week, which, to be fair, isn't bad, but still, on top of what his father wants, what Mino wants, it's still ridiculous. Jurgen Klopp already knows his next Sadio Mane after latest transfer endorsements. Former Liverpool Academy star Edvard Taksed took on Rennes in the Europa Conference League last summer, and he was awestruck by one man in particular. I assume it's Jeremy Doku. Yeah, Jeremy Doku. Jeremy Doku has been linked to Liverpool for quite a while now. Does play in a very similar manner to Sadio Mane, or how Sadio used to play. Now, his time at Rennes hasn't gone brilliantly, I would say. I think they expected more of him. I think they thought when they signed him that he would have, 2 great seasons and then they'd double their money on him. They paid around 23 million for him. I think they'd probably take 35 this summer. Whereas initially they were looking for somewhere in the region, or they were probably thinking they'd get somewhere in the region of 50 for him. Now, I prefer his teammate, Kamaldeen Sulemana, but ideally, you'd like to get both. Doku is a sensational talent, but he just hasn't performed the way you would have hoped at Rennes. Now, it's not on him. He's had a number of injuries. He's only played 671 minutes this season. But injuries at his age can be a bit of a concern. And, he's had 3 different injuries this season, causing him to miss 18 games, a hamstring injury, a knee injury, and then another hamstring injury. So that is a little bit of a concern. It's not something that you would chalk down as ideal. Last season, when he was playing more regularly, he got shunted out to play wide on the right for large chunks of the season. That wasn't really ideal either. He played 3,400 minutes last year, though, which is promising. The season before with Anderlecht, he played 1,771. The season before that, he played 452. That was sort of his breakthrough year when he was 16, 17. He's a sensational talent. And if Liverpool signed him, we should be delighted, because he will develop into a really good player. But Sulemana, I think, is the one to go for from Rennes. Anyway, it's not really important what I want. Let's move on then to AnfieldIndex.com, where there is the latest piece from Stephen Smith, The Windows of Change, that you can read there, and 2 new podcasts. There is a new Under Pressure entitled The Mo Salah Contract. So give that one a listen as the boys break down the numbers there. And then there's a new Scouted pod with myself and Mr. Matchett, where we took a question from Andy Wales about what Borussia Dortmund could do to challenge Bayern Munich next season in terms of sales and signings and things like that. So that's there as well. I believe there is going to be another Money Talks coming soon. There is one of late, which was Mo Chatra joined by Nick Harris from the Mail on Sunday. But I believe for the banter, Mr. Chatra is going to do a little bit of a deep dive into the finances of Everton Football Club, the club who have lost more money over the last 3 years than any other club in the world. The Ev. Magnificent. I'll leave it there. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.